Al, I know you talked about this a little bit in your prior response, but could you just talk a little bit more about the tools that you're using in Ottawa County to help you measure
Sure.
feedback from residents?
Yeah, yeah, there's four main ones. So one is Facebook and Twitter Insights. I won't say much about that. I think that's pretty commonly used. But the Gov delivery is huge because it provides analytic reports on recipient details, click-through rate, open rate, shares, social media management. So basically, it really helps us understand what people are thinking, and we're able to measure marked increases in both subscribers and engagement. We had a 17% increase in subscriptions just during COVID. And we've also sent over 3.2 million messages and 34,000 text messages through Gov delivery. So,
Right.
and those are basically in response to requests. And so, yes, that's, I think, a huge amount of engagement. Another great tool that I was going to recommend that the board adopt, and then we hired it through CARES Act and emergency management process, is a tool called Zen City. Zen City is a artificial intelligence, machine learning, natural language processing tool that basically culls all the social media messages in a jurisdiction. Now, it doesn't give you URLs or violate privacy in any way, but keywords are put in, and then it will measure sentiment, positive, negative, or neutral. And just a quick example of how that was cool. So again, in my conservative county, a lot of pushback by business back in April, May, June on the governor shutting the state down and some of those things. Huge pushback on my commissioners. Well, we knew through Zen City that 69% of the people in Ottawa County were basically in favor of the governor's measures. And so it provided another view that was counter to the emails and calls the commissioners were getting at the time. We also were able to use it to fix some of our own messaging that we could tell was being interpreted incorrectly. And so the message wasn't going through the way we wanted. And through Zen City, we could see that response and we could retailor our message, put it back out, and then measure how effective that was. So, and literally millions of messages are called, by the AI tool, machine learning tool, in order to come up with that data. So that ended up, and that's something that will have permanent. Our detective bureau and the sheriff's office loves it. Our health department thinks they can spot outbreaks in the future post-COVID. So we think that's another great tool. Lastly, there's a product called Munetrics in the state. So the company took all the budgets and audits of all public agencies of the state from the Department of Treasury, where we all have to send them every year, created a huge database, and we subscribe to that so we can give numbers to the board of how we compare expenditures per capita or whatever. But they quickly turned the tool into a comparison of COVID statewide. And that's been a great tool to communicate with both our board and the public as far as where does Ottawa County kind of stand in relation to other places in the state regarding COVID. So I would say those are four tools that have been really impactful in our ability to communicate where we're at.
That's great. Those all sound like great tools. So thanks.
And engage, I should say, not just where we're at, but to get engagement.